Alright, what's up, guys? So, WrestleMania has uploaded a video titled 10 WWE Wrestlers Visibly Furious for Real. I don't know why. Alright, let me read that again. 10 WWE Wrestlers Visibly Furious for Real. Alright, I got it this time. So, anyways, make sure you guys go subscribe to WrestleMania for more videos like this. Yeah, there's at times where there'd be wrestlers where it's like you can see the anger. I think there was one time where well, actually, no, it was when CM Punk had quit. And then there was all like John Cena. You could see how like visibly mad he was and things. But I don't know. Maybe it was some scripted stuff. I don't know. But I feel like that whole CM Punk thing was scripted. Like him leaving the company and stuff. He just wanted to go out with a bang. He figured he wasn't going to come back. So, yeah, but, I mean, he did say how he overall felt, but I don't know. You know, they could just be doing things for a front and then, you know, just seeing how that goes. But anyways, let's go on and get into this video and see what it's all about.
Stupid look off your face. I will slap it off.
Wrestlers take immense pride in their craft as they dedicate their entire life to wrestling in WWE. This means that if a match isn't going to plan or they've had a falling out with WWE management, they find it hard to hide their emotions in the ring. These emotional outbursts can take many forms, and it has happened numerous times throughout WWE history.
Dang.
But when were those moments? Well, join us now as WrestleMania looks at 10 times WWE wrestlers could hide their anger in the ring.
I mean, yeah, technically
Be
John
sure to
Cena
subscribe
was in
and
the
hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 1, The Undertaker at Super Showdown.
Oh, yeah. They was like, that was a flop.
And there was, because I was upset.
Now, The Undertaker is a wrestler who takes immense pride in his work. He was very much a locker room leader and someone who the younger talent looked towards to set the standard of what a main event performance should be. Now, we've all seen, thanks to the WWE Network show The Last Ride, just how much The Undertaker values the perception of the younger talent and the fans, and he always wants to deliver the absolute best performance. Thus, when WWE announced that The Undertaker would take on Goldberg at the Super Showdown event in 2019, fans were a little concerned as Goldberg wasn't really known for having the greatest matches, and The Undertaker, by the time 2019 came around, he needed someone to help him through a match, and Goldberg certainly wasn't that wrestler. The match itself was an absolute disaster and is classed by many as one of the worst matches in the history of the company. Things started off bad early.
I never seen the Super Showdown. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but yeah, I do remember a lot of people, they just was not feeling that match, and so I wasn't all that like, because it was a match that I did want to see, but I'm like, I'm kind of glad that I didn't see it, because I mean, they're saying it was a bad match. I'm like, dang, that's crazy.
In the match, as Goldberg went headfirst into the ring post, which resulted in a concussion.
That's crazy.
Goldberg then proceeded to drop The Undertaker right on his head following a jackhammer attempt in a move that could have seriously injured the wrestling legend. The Undertaker then hit Goldberg with a tombstone, which spiked Goldberg on his head, before Goldberg attempted his own version of the tombstone. However, he couldn't get Taker into position, and they both awkwardly fell. Taker then proceeded to call an audible and finish the match off with a chokeslam. Now, even though it was hot outside and Goldberg had legitimately suffered a concussion during the match, Taker looked incredibly disgusted and upset following it, as he let out a massive sigh, and as we know from the Last Ride documentary, he felt ashamed of the performance.
It's just like, wow, that was really close to being catastrophic.
Number 2, Gail Kim eliminates herself. Long before the women's revolution, the women at WWE had to scratch and claw for every minute of television time. However, one woman who decided that this treatment wasn't good enough was Gail Kim. On the 1st August 2011 edition
and I remember I was like, because I heard, like, there's a friend of mine, he said that he used to watch, like, Gail Kim and things, or he does. I think either at the time or used to, I don't know. But he said that she was a pretty talented wrestler. So I remember that last time she came back to WWE, I was all like, I was pumped. I was like, okay, you know, let's see this and things. You know, if what my friend is telling me is true, like she's a good wrestler, I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, she was. I'm like, she was good. And then she just disappeared. And I was like, dang, man, you know, so. But I heard, like, you know, she did her thing in TNA. So I was like, that's good. You know, have your career somewhere. But anyways.
Kim took part in a battle royal. However, as the match began, she would eliminate herself.
was Molina who was eliminated, and I believe another elimination as well. Gail Kim, I think.
She did this to prove a point and to see if anybody backstage actually noticed. Following the incident, Kim left the arena and would never return to WWE ever again, opting to rejoin Impact Wrestling instead. The match was also notable for being the last WWE match for Melina, who hugged Kim as she made her way to the backstage area as a clear endorsement of her actions. Number 3, The Rock at the 2015 Royal Rumble.
Take that stupid look off your face. I will slap it off.
It's like, dang,
The
bruh.
2015 Rumble match is well established for being one of the worst Rumble matches of all time. It featured some of the worst booking decisions in WWE history, and as a result, the crowd absolutely hated the majority of the match. And one of the main issues the match had was WWE presenting Roman Reigns as a massive underdog, when in reality, hardly any fans wanted him to win. This meant that he was heavily booed, and anyone associated him was also going to be booed, even if your name is The Rock. When WWE legend The Rock made an appearance during the closing moments of the match, even the beloved figure such as himself was booed, and the fans wanted no part in his association with Reigns.
Crazy.
The Rock was clearly annoyed by the booking and the fans' reaction as he looked legitimately furious in the ring. Not to mention somewhat puzzled.
Cause it's like you that's your family. It's like cause my thing is like The Rock, he comes out, everybody's cheering for him, everybody's screaming for him. It's like, oh gosh, The Rock, The Rock. And then with Roman Reigns, they're just all like, booing. That's one thing that I just never really understood. Like, why was this man just hated so much? Like, what has he done to people? Not just, and I knew what WWE was doing, and there's just trying, there wasn't really no, faces, of the company. There wasn't, how, in the early 2000s or whenever, John Cena in his era, where he was at the top of his career, that's what they were looking for, and that Roman Reigns was the guy. So I'm like, yo, just welcome this man. Show him some love. Show him some support. That's why I was like, with Roman Reigns. I'm like, I don't know what I be saying half the time. But anyways, Roman Reigns, when people was hating on him, I was just like, I don't see why people are hating on him. And I think his character before, his character now, I think however they book Roman, I think is going to be good. So
if you thought that puzzling face was acting, it was, as The Rock actually knew that Roman Reigns would be booed by the crowd. You can even tell The Rock is not being The Rock in this post-match interview.
In the moment. Tonight. Right, exactly. God damn, man, you're getting fired.
In fact, he was so upset that he would leave the arena immediately after the match without saying a word to Vince McMahon. Number 4, Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
WWE began to push Kofi Kingston to the moon. He would defeat Randy Orton clean and would begin a main event push that was actually going to lead him to winning the Money in the Bank contract at WrestleMania 26. Unfortunately, this all changed thanks to one infamous segment on Raw. In a match between Orton, Kofi and John Cena, the finish was supposed to be Orton RKOing Kofi for the win. However, as soon as Orton hit the RKO on Kofi, he began to shout,
Kingston, jaw and face planted.
It would later be revealed that
I remember that episode too, and I just thought that it was some scripted stuff, but
Kofi botched the finish of the match, which naturally angered the Viper, and he decided to take his frustrations out verbally in the ring. The two would actually even have a callback to this moment during Kofi's reign as WWE Champion.
We know the only time almost counts is
I thought it was some
Number 5,
scripted
Eddie
stuff.
Guerrero
I didn't realize it was
SummerSlam
real.
2005. The feud between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio in 2005 was one of the most infamous feuds in history.
Yeah.
The two would feud over the custody of Rey's own son Dominic in a bizarre yet entertaining feud that produced some of the best matches of the entire Ruthless Aggression era.
And he finally...
It's like, I remember when I very first started getting into wrestling, and they released that ladder match DVD thing, and I was like, that was one of the matches I thought was a pretty good match.
Gets to come home.
And that was like, because I had just started getting into wrestling, maybe either the same year, 2007, or the next year. I can't remember exactly when they released that DVD, but that was my first time ever seeing Eddie Guerrero wrestle. So I was like, it was kind of good, first time watching him wrestle, and that was a good match of his and things. So it's part of me is cool, dope. I just kind of wish I was a wrestling fan growing up, so then I could have actually seen him live on TV or something. But it's always good to just go back in history and see his wrestling matches and stuff. But anyways, rip Eddie.
To Papi.
The payoff to the feud would be a custody of Dominic ladder match at 2005 SummerSlam pay-per-view.
It's crazy how this
The
is
planned
like
finish was to
15
involve
years
Vicky
ago.
Guerrero, who portrayed a conflicted neutral role in the feud, turning on Eddie and pushing him off the ladder so Ray could win. However, during the closing moments of the match, Vicky would miss her cue, meaning Eddie and Ray had to improvise. This left Eddie furious as he screamed,
And look at Eddie, frustrated. Frustrated.
Wow.
Number 6, Kurt Angle.
So much for the UFC.
On the November 4th, 2004 episode of Raw, WWE booked the Tough Enough finalists to have a shoot fight with Kurt Angle. Angle would take down
It just
Tough
seems
Enough
like that those like Tough Enough. I know they just getting on those guys. I think there was a video I see. There was like Big Show. I don't know. Maybe that's just like a scripted thing or not. I don't know. I couldn't overall say that it was scripted. I should correct myself from when I'm saying that and things because I don't want people to be like, it's not scripted, getting all mad at me and things. But anyways.
finalist Daniel Puder down, but Puder would get Angle into a Chimera armbar and was seconds away from breaking Angle's arm. The referee quickly realized this and counted Puder's shoulders to the mat for the 1-2-3 to save Angle the embarrassment of tapping out on television. Angle popped right up and got into Puder's face as he was absolutely furious that this occurred, despite the segment being unscripted. Angle's frustrations continued backstage as he demanded to know why WWE would book a segment that could have completely shattered his credibility. Puder would comment on the incident during an interview with Chris Van Vliet in 2020, stating, "Here's the thing, people have grudges. It's a reflection of inside. At the end of the day, I don't hate anybody. Did I make an opportunity for what was given? Sure. Did I follow the rules? Yeah. Did they say no striking? Yeah. You can listen to the ref's interview, Jimmy Corderas. You can listen to Al Snow's interview. If anybody's real enough and authentic, then they're going to tell you what really happened." Number 7, Stephanie McMahon. One of the highlights of WWE programming in 2013 was the feud between the Rhodes family and The Authority. The feud would reach its climax at the 2013 Battleground pay-per-view in a thrilling match as Goldust and Cody Rhodes would face The Shield. But to build to that match, WWE would book a segment between Dusty Rhodes, Cody, and Goldust having a promo exchange with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. However, it became one of the most infamous promo segments of the year. Now, Dusty was old school, meaning a scripted promo is something he simply isn't going to do. This meant that when Stephanie tried her typical act of belittling the babyfaces during a promo, Dusty wasn't having any of it and put his hands up straight in Stephanie's face.
Cross the line, old man. Don't cross the line, old man. Let me tell you something.
This actually made Stephanie furious, who slapped his hand away. And this was not planned. The tension didn't...
You can kind of like, even though she's like smiling, you can still see it in her face like, no, don't do that, fam. She's all like, you don't know me like that. She's just like, I forget that this is WWE and this could just be a good old-fashioned fight. Like, yeah, you can see her in her face. She was not having that.
And then there, as the issues continued,
like that's like acted like Stephanie. Let's go back. That's that's Stephanie. Like, okay, like you're going to a little bit too far, but anyway.
Vince McMahon was also furious that Dusty would act in this manner. Dave Meltzer had this to say in relation to the incident. "If you think something is different about Dusty Rhodes on Raw compared to everyone else, it's because when he's out there, the script is gone. But he did cut off Stephanie instead of letting Stephanie do the making the face look like a wimp thing she does with most talent. On 30th September, the facepalm on Stephanie when she started talking like he was blowing her off, which if you watch it looked like Stephanie had no idea was coming. That was actually the case, and she was not happy about it. Number 8, Ricochet. The start of 2020 looked extremely promising for Ricochet as he would be booked to face Brock Lesnar at the Super Showdown pay-per-view, but unfortunately that's where the problems began. The match would be a complete squash, and following the loss, WWE would seemingly lose faith in Ricochet as he began to lose matches on a weekly basis. On the 2nd March 2020 edition of Raw, Ricochet
is probably one of the most talented wrestlers that WWE has ever had. Like, I'm saying they've had a lot of different talent out there and stuff, but I think Ricochet, he's one of those talents where it's like, main event, middle card, low card, it doesn't matter. Like, he's gonna add some hype to it, so...
And Ricochet looked...
They better hope Ricochet don't go nowhere, because that's like one of the talents. Y'all better have that man up until the day he retires from wrestling. But anyways,
following the match, as he exited the ring, fans noticed how defeated and upset he really looked. He would even throw his wrist tape down on the ground and he would head to the locker room without even looking or acknowledging the live crowd.
Wow.
Number 9. HBK. As Shawn Michaels wasn't used to working with extremely stiff talent. Therefore, when the WWE booked him to face Vader at 96's SummerSlam, the two simply didn't mesh well in the ring. HBK would get frustrated with Vader in the ring, most notably when Vader failed to move for a top rope elbow attempt, with HBK screaming at Vader and kicking him straight in the head.
That's
the frustrations
crazy.
and anger from him wouldn't end there, as he would also use his backstage
Yeah,
influence to
I remember when Vader was on Boys Meet World. Like, look, all right, I was a Boys Meet World fan. You know, I was watching that show. I remember when Vader. So for those that didn't watch that show, Vader was on there. And he was like he was the father of this like other kid. He looked like he could have been like Vader's son, brother, whoever and things. But yeah, he was like pretending to be this kid's dad on the show. And then yeah, they was like they had where he did some wrestling things on. I thought that was pretty cool. I gotta watch the episode again because I'm like, I don't think Shawn Michaels. I don't know. I have to see it again. But anyways,
saw Vader's push, and Vader would fall further and further down the card, and would never be positioned.
Like I
as a
said in the
top
last
guy in
WrestleMania
WWE
video,
ever.
I'm all like, there's the McMahon family, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, like those. I feel like those are like the guys where it's like they're in control of a lot of things. Like those, yeah, I'm like those guys that got like some sort of power in WWE. You don't want to make them mad. So
ever again. And number 10, HBK again. As Shawn Michaels was notable in the 90s for being very difficult to deal with, and it wasn't just the wrestlers who felt the wrath of HBK in the ring. During the legendary match between HBK and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12, HBK would take issue with the position of the cameraman in the match. During a spot in the match, HBK would jump down from the apron and would actually curse at the cameraman for being in the wrong position.
Whoa, get the fuck out of the way.
He looked absolutely
Wow.
furious with them and even made eye contact with him numerous times throughout the match to check on his positioning. It's safe to say that HBK has something against cameramen in general. I mean, just remember this moment from WrestleMania 11. The poor guy was just taking pics of the match. But there you have it, guys.
I'm
10
like,
times
bro, I
wrestlers
am a
couldn't hide their
cameraman.
anger in the ring. There's probably a few more, so would you like to see a part 2 on this? Let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
I'm like, Shawn Michaels, I'm like, you gotta relax, brother. Like, it is not that serious. You're getting mad over me just being a cameraman. I'm like, I can't help it. This is where I thought I was supposed to be. But dang, like, you didn't watch. And then they're like, oh, we're gonna book that cameraman for the bad matches and stuff. That's crazy, man. That is some crazy stuff. But that was a good video. Shout out to WrestleLamia. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys go subscribe to him for more videos like this. Like, subscribe to me too, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.